Welcome to Check This Out, podcast for kids.
And they're grown-ups, where we explore people, places, ponderings, and past moments from history that shape the world around us. My name is Amy Contreras.
And I'm Cece. Mama, I have terrible news.
What?
We missed making a podcast episode about International Women's Day.
Oh my gosh, Cece, you're right. That was back in March.
But I loved learning about all the amazing women who have changed the world. Do you think we could do a late episode for International Women's Day?
I mean, of course, it's better late than ever. Plus, it was Mother's Day recently, so I think it's good to have an extra special, extra podcast episode for our listeners. Plus, I don't see why we can't celebrate International Women's Day in May.
The months both do start with the letter M.
Close enough. Well then, I think today we should talk about some of the amazing women in history who inspire us when we're thinking about International Women's Day.
Remember how we did a series on women who changed the world?
Yes, we've got lots of amazing episodes on women, from Harriet Tubman to Eleanor Roosevelt and Amelia Earhart.
And Aretha Franklin, Helen Keller, Sacagawea, Malala Yousafzai, and Anne Frank.
Even Sojourner Truth, Georgia O'Keeffe, Taylor Swift, and Marie Curie. We've done a bunch of episodes on incredible women over the course of the podcast. But today is a compilation that will highlight even more amazing women.
Maybe we could do full episodes on all of them?
Eventually, the world is our oyster, Cece. But today, we're going to talk about a bunch of different women and their impact on the world in the podcast. Do you remember the women we're going to talk about on today's episode?
No, can you remind me?
Yes, today's episode is going to introduce us to 8 amazing women to celebrate International Women's Day.
Even though we are a little late.
Hey, better late than never. We're going to learn about and hear stories about Billie Jean King, Maya Angelou, Queen Liliʻuokalani, Misty Copeland, Simone Biles, Catherine the Great, and Empress Wu Zetian.
Will we have time to talk about all of them?
We will spend a couple of minutes on each of these women. Think of it as a lightning round of learning.
I do love a lightning round.
Well, we can get right into it. Who should we start with, Cece?
Simone Biles.
I am not surprised you said Simone Biles. We really do love the Olympics in our house. Simone Biles is considered the greatest gymnast of all time.
Simone Biles has won 32 medals.
Yes, at both the Olympics and the World Championships. She's been dominant in gymnastics for years. So Simone Biles has not only won multiple Olympic gold medals, but also claimed 5 all-around world titles. Plus, in addition to being an amazing gymnast, she's an advocate for mental health. She brought global attention to the importance of self-care when she withdrew from events at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics to prioritize her mental well-being because she was dealing with something called the twisties, which is a dangerous condition where gymnasts can lose track of where they are while they're spinning and flipping around.
What are some fun facts about Simone Biles?
Well, Simone Biles was the first woman to land the Yurchenko double pike vault. She was raised and supported by her adoptive grandparents, and she wrote a book about her life called Courage to Soar, which talked about her rise to being famous in the Olympics.
My favorite fact about Simone Biles is she had 2 gold medals when she was only 16.
That is so cool. So Simone Biles was born in Ohio in 1997, and she started doing gymnastics when she was 6 years old.
That is younger than me.
Simone Biles made her first appearance in junior national competition at the 2011 American Classic in Houston, and she placed 3rd in the all-around competition and 1st in the vault. Simone Biles is known for pushing the sport of gymnastics and trying new tricks.
At the 2013 World Championship, Simone Biles added a new skill.
It has now entered the repertoire, the language of gymnastics, and it's known as the Biles. Simone Biles was selected for the 2016 Olympics team, and she set a new American record for the most gold medals in gymnastics at a single Olympic Games.
There is so much to learn about her.
I think it's worth watching some videos of her gymnastics competitions, but sadly we have to move on to talk about some of these other amazing women. So since we started by talking about amazing athletes, should we talk about Misty Copeland or Billie Jean King next?
I learned about Misty Copeland a little in school, so let's do her next.
Great choice. Misty Copeland is an amazing American ballet dancer who became the first Black woman ever promoted to principal dancer at the American Ballet Theater. She became a principal dancer in 2015.
She's important for breaking barriers in ballet.
And one of the most amazing things about Misty is that she started ballet training late, not until she was 13. Most professional dancers start way younger than that. Misty Copeland was seen as a prodigy. This means she was incredibly talented at a young age. By age 14, just a year after she started, Misty won a national ballet contest. She also got her first solo role.
In 2015, Misty was on the cover of Time magazine.
She was the first dancer to be on the cover of Time since 1994. In 2016, Mattel even created a Misty Copeland Barbie doll. Could you imagine having your own Barbie doll? That'd be so cool. After she became a principal dancer, Glamour magazine named her one of their Women of the Year for 2015. ESPN also named her one of their 2015 Impact 25 athletes. These are influencers who made a big impact for women in sports. Cece, what do you think everyone should know about Misty Copeland?
She is an amazing dancer, but she has also written a bunch of books,
including a cool kids book called Firebird. Misty Copeland redefined what it looks like to be a principal ballerina. From being the first Black principal ballerina at ABT to having a more muscular and stronger body than usual ballerinas, she carved a path where girls and women around the world could picture a future of themselves being a ballerina.
I love watching videos of her.
She performed her final dance with the American Ballet Theater on October 22nd, 2025 in New York City, which ended her active ballet performing career. Misty Copeland has performed lead ballerina roles in more than 60 productions, including Cinderella, Don Quixote, Giselle, Swan Lake, Romeo and Juliet. But now you can see her in different types of performances in places like commercials and musical shows. And I wish we could keep talking about her, but we've got to move on and learn about Billie Jean King.
I am excited to learn about Billie Jean King.
I am also excited to talk about her. What do you know about Billie Jean King, Cece?
I know she is a famous tennis player.
That is right. Billie Jean King was one of the greatest tennis players of all time. She was so good, she even won the Presidential Medal of Freedom because she fought for women in sports and LGBTQ rights. But as a tennis player, she was next level.
Billie Jean King won 39 Grand Slam titles in her tennis career.
But before that, she just kicked butt in tennis for a really long time. In 1967, she was selected as the Associated Press Female Athlete of the Year. In 1971, she was the first female athlete in any sport ever to earn more than $100,000 in prize money in a single season. She ultimately won $117,000.
That is a lot of money.
And it led her to fight for equal pay for women in tennis, which at the time was a really brave thing to do. Her impact was so big that in 1972, she was the first woman to be chosen for Sports Illustrated Sportsperson of the Year.
The 70s were busy for her.
You know it, Cece. And then in 1973, she beat a man at tennis in the famous The Battle of the Sexes.
What was the Battle of the Sexes, Mama?
In 1973, Bobby Riggs, a top men's player in the 30s and 40s, was now a 55-year-old. He claimed, even though he was old, that the women's tennis game was so inferior to the men's game that even someone as old as he was could beat the current top female players. Billie Jean King accepted his challenge to play against each other to disprove his baseless claims.
Lots of other people thought she couldn't do it.
But she did, and guess what? She won. Promoters called the match the Battle of the Sexes, and they put it on primetime television.
About 90 million people worldwide tuned in to watch.
Billie Jean King also helped establish the Women's Tennis Association, the organization that oversees women's professional tennis. Billie Jean King won her first major singles title at Wimbledon in 1966.
She did it again in 1967, and in 1968.
In 1966, she became the number one ranked women's tennis player in the world. She claimed that title 5 more times in her career. 1967, 1968, 1971, 1972, and 1974. In 1990, Life magazine named her one of the 100 most important Americans of the 20th century. Of the 4 athletes on that list, she was the only woman.
Wow, Billie Jean King did a lot.
You're right. I love talking about all these amazing women. Okay, so far we've talked about not just amazing women, but amazing women athletes. Simone Biles, Misty Copeland, and Billie Jean King. But we have even more women to talk about as we celebrate International Women's Day.
Can we talk about Maya Angelou next?
Absolutely. Maya Angelou was a world-famous author. She's remembered for her unique writing style, and she's best known for her books, including her series of 7 autobiographies, starting with the book titled I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings.
But she also wrote poems, plays, children's books, and more.
That's right, Cece, and she wasn't just an author. She was a poet, singer, dancer, activist, and scholar.
Wow, she must have been busy.
Over the course of her life, she was recognized and celebrated by many organizations for her contributions to literature and writing. In 2010, President Barack Obama awarded Maya Angelou the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the country's highest civilian honor.
What should people know about Maya Angelou, Mama?
Well, she was an activist and she fought for people's rights. She worked with Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Over her lifetime, she received over 50 honorary degrees and even 3 Grammy Awards. Maya Angelou died on May 28, 2014, at the age of 86.
Sounds like she made a big impact. No wonder we are talking about her.
She was incredible, Cece. She spoke at least 6 languages, wrote poems that are read all over the world, and even wrote a poem that was read at Michael Jackson's funeral. Maya Angelou was the first Black female cable car conductor in San Francisco way back when she was 16. And she was also the first African-American woman to write a nonfiction bestseller, that book called I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. She was also the first African-American woman to get a screenplay produced, which was in 1972 called Georgia, Georgia, and direct a major movie. In 1998, she directed Down in the Delta.
That is a lot. Who next, Mama?
Queen Liliʻuokalani.
She sounds important. Who is she?
Queen Liliʻuokalani was the first and only reigning Hawaiian queen. She was born in 1838 as Lydia Kamakaʻeha. She was also the last Hawaiian sovereign or member of the royal family to govern the Hawaiian Islands before they were annexed by the United States in 1898.
Why was she important?
In January of 1893, a coup led by Sanford Dole took over the Hawaiian government, and they pressed the U.S. government to annex the islands. Basically, this means a group of rich American businessmen took over Hawaii because they wanted the riches of the islands for themselves.
What happened to the queen?
She tried to restore power to the Hawaiian monarchy and rewrite the Constitution to give more rights to Native Hawaiians. She was even charged with treason and put under house arrest for trying to take back the Hawaiian Islands from the American coup. Throughout her life, she peacefully and consistently challenged the influence of American businessmen who tried to control the Hawaiian Islands.
She also fought for women's rights, and if you're asking what treason means, it means they cut off her head.
Well, in some places, if you committed treason, that might have been the punishment. That's right, Cece. But treason means going against the government. So that was considered what she was doing because she was fighting against the United States who stole the Hawaiian Islands from the Hawaiian people. But she also fought for women's rights. She founded Hawaii's first national bank, or first women's bank, And Queen Liliʻuokalani also lived a life of leadership, dedication, and service to the people of Hawaii. She was loved and respected by her people. In 1909, she established a trust for Hawaiian children in need, and she left her estate to help Hawaii's children. She died on November 11th in 1917 and was given a royal burial.
I didn't realize there were queens and kings in Hawaii.
Yeah, before the U.S. took over Hawaii, there were years of a Hawaiian monarchy that ended with Queen Liliʻuokalani. Today, there's evidence still of all of her hard work to protect Hawaii and its native people. There is something called the Ala Kahakai National Historic Trail. It was established in 2000, and it preserves a network of ancient, historic, and modern trails.
This trail is only possible because of the Highways Act of 1892.
Which Queen Liliʻuokalani got passed, and it's just one of the many ways that her legacy is visible in the Hawaiian landscape. She advocated for a free Hawaii until her death in 1917 at the age of 79.
I am so impressed. Who are we talking about next, Mama?
Up next is Catherine the Great. She was the longest ruling empress in Russian history.
How long was she in charge, Mama?
She ruled Russia for 34 years, from July 9th of 1762 until her death on November 17th, 1796.
Oh, so this was a long time ago.
Yes. As Empress of Russia, she expanded the Russian Empire to the Black Sea. She partitioned Poland and fostered a golden age of Russian art, education, and literature.
Was she born to rule Russia?
Nope. She married into the Russian monarchy when she was only 16 years old.
Check this out.
Catherine the Great was actually born in Germany, but it was really interesting because she married into Russian royalty. But her husband was not a good ruler. When they got married, another person in the Russian royal family was in charge. But when the Empress Elizabeth II died, Catherine the Great's husband, the Grand Duke Peter, became Emperor of Russia.
It was obvious he wasn't a good ruler of Russia.
No, he wasn't. She took over the throne from her husband Peter in a bloodless coup against him just 6 months into his rule.
What does coup mean?
A coup is when a small group, like military leaders or politicians, suddenly and illegally take over a country's government. But Catherine the Great did it, and then she went on to rule Russia for, 34 years.
So why is she called Catherine the Great?
There's a lot of reasons, but I like this overview from the Smithsonian. Catherine championed Enlightenment ideals, expanded her empire's borders, spearheaded judicial and administrative reforms, dabbled in vaccination, curated a big art collection that formed the foundation of one of the world's greatest museums. She exchanged correspondence with philosophers like Voltaire and Diderot. She penned operas and wrote children's fairy tales, founded the country's first state-funded school for women, drafted her own legal code, and promoted a national system of education. Maybe most impressively, the Empress, who was born virtually a penniless princess, wielded power for more than 3 decades, despite the fact that she had no real claim to the crown whatsoever.
Okay, so she did 1 or 2 things while she was in charge.
She sure did. She was busy. And Catherine the Great isn't the only other leader aside from Queen Liliʻuokalani that we're talking about.
Who else, Mama?
Up next is another leader, the Empress Wu Zetian.
Check this out.
Empress Wu Zetian was the first and only female emperor in Chinese history. She ruled for over 40 years during the Tang Dynasty.
Here is something amazing.
She started as a low-ranking palace aide, but she used her intelligence and ruthlessness to seize power. She even created her own dynasty.
Wow, what did she do as an empress?
Lots of things. She strengthened China, she supported Buddhism, and she improved education. But that isn't all. Empress Wu Zetian was alive from 624 to 705 AD.
That was 1,402 years ago.
Yes, a long time ago. She ruled effectively for many years. She began ruling as the wife of the emperor, but he was sick and weak. So for the last 15 years of her reign, from 690 to 705, she ruled in her own name.
She was known for her courage.
She was also known for being a very skilled administrator and for her dominant personality. And she was known for being ruthless and crushing any potential opponent in order to maintain her power.
What does ruthless mean, Mama?
It means, Cece, she did not hold back. She eliminated potential rivals, including members of her own family. She formally became empress after her husband died.
Did she do anything else?
Oh, lots. She focused on building irrigation systems and lowering taxes for the poor and farmers. She also had a large impact on women's rights.
That is cool.
Yeah, she gave positions to women in the courts and had scholars write biographies on important and influential women, which really hadn't been done before. Due to Empress Wu Zetian being in charge, women had more freedom and could express themselves in ways that would not have been possible under other emperors.
Okay, I can see why we are talking about her for International Women's Day.
Well, Cece, I wish we had time to talk about more women. There are just so many cool women who have made an impact, discovered things, helped other people, and just made the world a better place. What women do you want to continue to learn about to celebrate International Women's Day, even though we're a little late?
I want to learn more about Celia Cruz. She was a singer and the queen of salsa.
Oh, that's a great choice. Well, I'm so glad we got to talk about Billie Jean King, Maya Angelou, Queen Liliʻuokalani, Misty Copeland, Simone Biles, Catherine the Great, and Empress Wu Zetian. I'm so happy we could bring back celebrating International Women's Day, even though today is just a random day. Thanks to all the strong women and girls out there that are making a difference every day.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Check This Out podcast for kids.
Here at the Check This Out podcast, we know there's a lot of information and it can be overwhelming to find accurate information online. This podcast is a tool for you to help you do something called citing your sources. As you get older and do projects for school, you'll learn that certain types of websites or information sources aren't verified or have evidence and documentation to back them up.
On Check This Out, we use verified sources to build the stories you hear about.
Verified sources are materials or information that have been confirmed for accuracy and credibility through an evaluation process. Our sources for this week's episode are Encyclopedia Britannica, History.com, National Geographic, UNESCO, and WorldHistory.org. Make sure to join us again for next week's episode because we're going to continue to explore lots of cool things about history together.
Thanks for listening. See you next episode. Don't forget to subscribe.
Bye.